What's up, guys? What's up? I don't think that we have near the waiters this time, my lovely Aussie, that we had last time, but that's okay.
Right.
Um,
We
tell a
could have
friend.
left it a bit longer. We had the
Yeah,
waiters.
that's okay. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to come on over and give us the what's for. Um, let me,
Yep, yep, yep.
while we're waiting here, let me make a community post um, directing people our way.
Yeah, what have you used up all your notifications for today already?
I'm sure of it, being a dumbass.
Yeah.
So this will be one of
yelling yelling at us for breakfast.
those. Come join us. We are live now.
I much prefer Benny singing. I don't know about anyone else, but waking up waking up to the singing is way better.
Hey, it's not too bad, is it? No, I'm just kidding. We are live now. I am a
Better
dum
than
dum
me.
and used up all my notifications. So come please join us. All right. So guys, hit the thumbs up real quick for us, would you? Don't be a square. Make that happen.
Good
Oh shit,
morning
they
to
got the
everyone.
notification. Thicky Nicky.
Guess what? It's actually morning here. So I can say good morning and it's morning. And it's actually morning here.
They scared to come. Hey, that's when the mornings hit, right? Like Australia and America, they got this strange dynamic that the time difference between them it gets bigger and less. Where, when we think in terms of being in the central, New York is ahead of us and California is behind us, right? And it stays 60 minutes at all times. Between Australia and America, there is this shifting. What do we got here? I just seen somebody join the green team. Brandy Johnson, thank you for joining the green team. You are our hero this morning. Damn right. Damn right. Thank you for joining the green team. We
No,
got A.
BBK, we're not back in class. We actually got some news because we're going to hold classes off till tonight.
Correct.
I don't know, maybe tomorrow night because I got to sleep somewhere in between. I haven't slept yet since classes.
Thank you for that. So everybody, by the title, I think that you can, Lizzie, she joined the green team. She's been leading the green team and just fucking joined. Thank you. Hey, daughter of Scotland, I see you here for the past couple of days. Thank you for joining us, sweetie. AQ, ABVK, Ghost Ninja, Pansy, Honest, Lizzie, Kitty, Brandy. Thank you, ladies. Yeah, we got to clear this shit up. So I did, but I ain't mad at you. I got nothing but love for you. Do your thing, girl. Okay, so today is going to be this live rather is going to be an all-encompassing kind of review on the dossier of Miss Bly.
Gotta debunk some shit.
Yeah. Aussie cooked up. She whipped up a pot. So we're gonna. This is all Aussie's doings as well. I'm hip to the game now, but she put this shit together. Now we're gonna talk about Candus. We're gonna talk about Andrew Simon. For those who aren't aware of who Andrew Simon is, we will get to him. Andrew Simon is Candus's ex-husband, and then we are going to talk a little bit about Rosie. We're not going to go crazy deep into Rosie's situation, but there are some very interesting keys of information that Aussie has unlocked, and they go right along with the things that she's unlocked in regards to Rosie's case. So thank you to Aussie for the new Woodwork character unlocked. We got a new Woodwork character unlocked, guys. Guys, without further ado, Aussie, take it away.
Natasha, let me just answer Natasha. Yes, my channel is going up shortly. I'm going to cover the Rosie Bly case because she's an adult and I just feel better covering an adult case. But, It's a
I
very
think
old
that's a
mystery.
good segue out of kind of what's going on right now with the Summers case. We can sort of unlock that case and start to take a look around and you know, try to bring some sort of clarity and focus to just the ravenous misinformation rather that we have out here, for Rosie and her situation. It's just became a mockery. Music City Mom, thank you for joining us last night. We'll be concluding that part tonight or tomorrow, depending on the wonderful Aussie sleep schedule. So without further ado, let's get into Don's situation here. We have a little visual reference for everyone to look at. Now, what I will tell you is that these aren't your regular run-of-the-mill background checks that are for free, right? We don't play that shit. Homie don't play that shit. We don't do those free, background checks and shit that can be manipulated like Wikipedia. These are locked in. So I'm going to go ahead and put us there like that. I like to put us on the side, Aussie, when we've got information, but I see that when you do that, it makes it blurry, right? If I put it up front like that, you can see it, but then of course we're blocking it down here on the bottom. So it's just 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. But let's go ahead and rock out.
Rock out. All right. What's first on the list, Benny? Okay, I think first on the list, Benny, you introduce what's first on the list.
Okay, what's first on the list, guys, is we have all of this cartel talk with Don. We have all of this, this hard drug talk, and we really want to be, we want to sort of reset the community in terms of what is Don's real, actual, factual, not just his background, but his drug history, right? Because we want to kind of fill the gaps and the voids in regards to Don's background check or his criminal history, his criminology. So we want to sort of just give you a little more to fuel your unbiased in regards to this cartel situation. So this right here is going to be Don's official background. Go ahead, take it away.
All right. So Don's been in no trouble whatsoever since 2007. And I'm going to scroll through this so you can see the dates. But this is his last offence that we're looking at here. He was in possession of a substance without a prescription. Third offence of being in possession of a substance without a prescription. So we're talking probably Xanax or something.
Is this this was a third offense with no prescription? Okay, so I guess a small retraction for the trolls that are going to tear up that verbiage. What we're specifically looking for is cartel type behavior or criminology in his background, right? In regards to anything cocaine related.
Let's connect him to cocaine. Okay, so we have a prescription drug that he's not supposed to have. He got $100 fine for that. Oh, $100,000 fine. Holy shit.
No, that was the bond.
Wait,
court fine. $100K. Holy shit. Damn.
That's big.
That
was back in 2007.
Holy
cow. I believe you have like some sort of payment sort of thing with your government if you get fines that big or something.
Yeah.
Burglary, residential. He's stealing grandma's Xanax, eh? And it goes back to 2001.
So you can see Don's MO. Don's MO in his past is essentially he's a caper. He's has had a past. I'm not going to call the man a thief because when you call somebody a thief, it suggests something current, right? These are older cases. So Don used to have sticky fingers. Natasha said the third offense on the prescription pills with no prescription is a federal offense. That's why the high restitution. So that makes sense. Yes, he has very theft or theft motivated offenses. Now, those are those are, let's see, those are from Utah. Okay, go ahead, Aussie. Hey, Aussie,
Yeah, I'm just gonna.
while you're doing this, can you also mention the state that these offenses took
Yeah, this
place
is
in? Would
Utah.
you?
Yeah, he's been in no trouble since 2007 in Utah, and that is, I think, about when he met Candus.
Okay.
Just given the ages of their kids and when the kids were born. I'm just doing a
Right. They
quick
have a 13-year-old,
note.
11-year-old, and a 9-year-old. That's the range.
So he hasn't been in trouble since he was 37 years old, guys. And he's 56 now, or 52 now, 50 something now. So it's been, 20 years since Don got into any trouble. But back in his younger day in Utah, he obviously was a bit of a rat bag. Theft by receiving stolen property. He's got a little forgery thing happening there. Okay, so there is a domestic thing here for.
Now, hold on one second.
The,
Now, guys, what's important is the 78403. That's the battery right now. If you look at thank you very much. The disposition is dismissed. Now, in a lot of states in America, we have certain sorts of domestic violence laws that the state picks up these cases, right? Now, that's what makes it difficult for partners to try to work out things between themselves. Is that the court now? CG, those weren't that was a different case. Someone else now, guys, when you see a domestic violence case that's dismissed, what that is, more oftentimes than not, is what, guys? It's a false allegation, right? False allegation. He was not convicted.
right.
Correct. Now, this is where you get into. Now, look at the county, Aussie. What I tell you, it either happens in Dallas County or Harris County. That's where it goes down. Harris County, guys. For anyone that's not familiar, Harris County.
Look at the date. Look at the date.
Yeah,
so
1982.
He was a teenager, right?
He would have been very yeah. Yeah, he would have been. Now,
he was 18 years old, and he was busted with 2 ounces of weed.
In Houston, Texas.
Correct. And he did a bit of stealing and stuff previous to that. A forgery.
Tim Camp. Sorry, Tim. Now, Tim, we aren't doing any of that kind of talk today. So please, let's not. We're not doing any essay talking here, man. I should have had my banner on. So just hold on.
Last one and only warning: we are not talking about end of story. That's for the police to sort out. It's private information. It belongs to the police. End of story. That's private information. We're not going to talk about anybody involved with private information like that. Of course, his criminal records are public, so we can talk about those. But
no offense to you, sir. No offense to you, sir. But I've had a long talk with somebody who I highly respect their opinion, and vegan. This isn't necessarily, we're not doing any suspectology today. What we're doing is dispelling some background issues. Okay. Easy. All right.
The story is someone went on YouTube and said Candus beat the living crap out of one of her kids. And so
Correct.
what we're going to do is we're going to go through and show that there is no child neglect, there is no child abuse, there is no drug charges except for this thing with weed and some Xanax. And what we're trying to do is dispel the rumors that have been spread over the last couple of nights. So
Correct.
basically, we have scrolled through Don's entire record, and all we found is weed and some Xanax. Okay. But he was a rat bag, like there's no doubt about it. He was into bloody stealing and all sorts of shit when he was a young dude. But from
Right.
what we got here, 1983, that's probably one of the earliest ones. What we have here is we have absolutely no cocaine whatsoever, no meth, no nothing, no possession of any contrivances like that at all. And no trouble. He hasn't even got a speeding fine since 2007.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to reiterate: there's nothing that suggests any sort of interest in cocaine. Now, with that being said, I want Aussie to really weigh in on this. But so what we have, why this 50K thing and this cartel thing seems to be important, is because Don had made a statement early on with CM that he had been involved in some trafficking type activity when he was much younger. And so, you try to corroborate any sort of link in history or anything like that, and try to weigh that against what we have now. So, Aussie, because we find no cocaine history whatsoever, what does that lead you to believe in respects to his statement to Chris M about the cocaine stuff in Mexico?
Well, I believe he didn't have any reason to say that he ran some cocaine across the border. He was just being honest. Like, it's
Facts.
not in his
Just
record.
being
So
honest.
nobody was ever going to, right. No one was ever going to look it up and go, oh, yeah, look, he's got a cocaine record. He might have even been just, exaggerating to make himself sound tough. I don't know. But
Well,
the fact
I'll
is,
tell you this.
he doesn't have a record.
Well, I
Sorry.
mean, I'll tell you this. We cannot dispel with anything that you've seen here right now. We cannot dispel I can't say that Mr. Wells doesn't have or hasn't had, I won't say has, but hasn't had in the past some sort of pill issue, right? Now, the pill issue is not something that has popped up in regards to this situation, right? The only connotation we have right now with pills is Grandma Candus going to the pharmacy to get her prescription. She was prescribed that, right? So we have connotation in respects to cocaine and the individuals that would be involved in that trade, right? We do not have a reference anywhere to cocaine, period. Now, I'll tell you, in my past, marijuana was really my thing, right? You can look through my history and you can tell that marijuana was my thing. You can look through exactly, Daughter of Scotland. Don's just playing with all the YouTubers, sitting back and watching the reactions. I wouldn't say that he's playing with the YouTubers necessarily, but he has had a fair bit of fun at the expense of some of the people that comment and call him, insatiably, incessantly, right? So please continue.
Where are we? Honest Rage. Where did you get that from? He's 56, so yeah, that's close enough.
Lizzie, as far as your comment is concerned, I do believe. I mean, I'm not an expert, guys. All I can do is weigh what I see against what I think I know and what I've seen before, and I do feel like Don may suffer from some sort of developmental delays. I would also venture to say that potentially Candus suffers from some sort of developmental delay. And what do we know about developmental delays, Aussie? We know with developmental delays that that people that think with developmental delays are what?
Atypical.
They are atypical minds. Now, I discussed it yesterday. Atypical minds doesn't just mean a delay. Atypical mind can also, you can also hold someone with a very high IQ as atypical because they are on the higher spectrum of atypical, instead of being at the low end of atypical. So there is a spectrum with atypical too. That's facts, right? So continue on, Aussie.
Just everyone's got different dates, and I just put his bloody birthday on the screen for you all. Pay attention. His birth date is 1964. He is 56 years old.
G-Dog, I am so sorry to hear that. In fact, G-Dog, if you email me, I will send you some videos that I used to use with my mother and my grandfather when he developed dementia. I would like you to take a look at some of these. There are things that you can do, G-Dog, to be proactive in keeping your mind sharp, right? There are things that you can do to set yourself up for that journey. Okay, so go ahead and email me, and we will. I will get you some of these materials, G-Dog, and we will get you on some exercises, right? Because memory loss is more memory loss is more of a loss of confidence, G-Dog. When you've been told you're starting to lose your memory, you start to lose your confidence, and when you are not confident in yourself, that's when this memory loss can really dig in, and it can take hold and manifest itself in a way where it actually has more power than it's allowed, right? So, G-Dog, we're all here for you, and we'll go through this with you, sweetheart. You're not alone. Sorry about that, Aussie. Go ahead and continue.
That's all right. That's good to offer some help. I'd like to also piggyback on the ADD conversation. I don't want to diagnose anybody, but if Don does have ADD, then it absolutely would explain why his answers to questions are always so long and convoluted and get sidetracked because that is absolutely typical of ADD. It's also very typical of Asperger's.
It's very typical of watching my content as well. I do that very same thing. And I do sometimes, you guys will catch me. I'll get deep into the rabbit hole and forget which way is out. And it's like, eject. So it is frustrating. I seem to also, as I believe, as a side effect of my Arnold Chiari, I seem to be suffering more of a struggle to speech, right? The struggle to talk. It's to get my point across and to deliver it in a way that I'm confident with. And it has nothing to do. It's just the progression of, my affliction. So, but G-Dog, you're not alone. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Cool. That's all I wanted to point out is that certain YouTubers want to say that, he won't answer questions straight up because he must be lying. And well, once you understand ADD, you understand that it's very difficult to stay on track. And as you all know I'm Asperger's, so I have a difficult time with that as well. So I often have to just write notes so that I stay on track and don't get all sidetracked on everybody.
Right.
So,
And you know, again, to hammer down what we're doing right here in this piece of the segment is what we're doing is thank you. I love Canadian money. It spends really well over here, especially in the soda machines. What we're trying to do here is we're trying to paint or rather draw a connection that's really easy for you guys to see, because we know about suspectology, we know about criminology, we know about the progressive nature of criminology, and that we're just not seeing a progression that will corroborate any sort of cocaine past, right? Now, it stands to reason that if Don has had this cocaine-filled life, that he would have some cocaine-related legalities as well, and you're not seeing that, right? So, that's one point. The other point that we're trying to really hammer in right now is we're trying to hammer in the fact, yes, I have that same problem. See, right now I just did it. I have the same problem, Haunted. Same problem. What we're trying to hammer in is also the fact that when people say that Don does not talk, in fact, when he does talk, he will offer you things that aren't even a subject or a topic of conversation, right? Like his past doing whatever he did with cocaine. Right now, we also understand that men in certain situations, there's always sometimes very feeble or masterful attempts to validate themselves to other individuals, right? Now, I'm not suggesting that Don fabricated some sort of cocaine past in order to validate himself to CM. But what I'm saying is that our minds by default, we just don't always relay things the way they actually were. So what I'm getting at is that, do I believe Don had some sort of goings on with the cartel back in the day? Probably not. Do I believe that Don may have been able to procure some cocaine from someone that was second or third hand from the cartel? Maybe, right? But you're not seeing the criminology in his criminal history that suggests anything cocaine related, right? He didn't say that he did anything with the cartel for prescription pills. That's not what he said. So we can't stretch.
Right, and when we move on to this Andrew fella, you see exactly what Benny's talking about when he's saying a history involved with this shit. Because this dude, like, seriously, when we move on to that guy, you'll see what we're talking about.
Correct. And maybe this is a good time. Are you ready to segue into the next portion?
Yeah, what was the next one?
So the next portion, what we're going to do is actually, I've been made aware that Zav girl, she did, and we were completely unbeknownst to us. We just felt like we needed to do this, and so I actually was told by someone that Zav girl did a segment that was kind of like this, but it was lacking some of the concrete things that iron it all out. So what we're going to talk about right now is Candus's past criminal history in regards to.
So the rumor that she beat the crap out of her son, that's probably the main thing, because this will lead us on to this Andrew character.
Correct. So what we're going to do is we're also going to take a look at Candus's criminology and the progressiveness or the digressiveness in her criminal history as well. Now, what is important to understand is that it's very easy, guys, to fact check and do this work that we're doing right now. In fact, what it is it's much easier if you have a question about someone's background. It's much easier to go and background search them yourself than it is to continue to comment the wrong information. Hoo-ah, hoo-ah. So this is what we have for Candus in regards to criminal background.
All right, so this is probably where, oops, let me get the right. thing happening. This is probably where Zavgirl sort of fell over a bit, because she was reading through all these charges. Like when you look at this list, it looks like a pretty, massive list, but pretty much everything on that list ended up being dismissed.
Correct.
So now this is
because
in
in America you can be arrested and jailed for something and then be found innocent later on. This is what's happened, right?
It was the prosecutor who dismissed the charges. When we look later at these other records for this Andrew character, you'll see where they match up and what the actual story was. Okay, so it's definitely domestic abuse. Okay, it's not child abuse. It is abuse against her husband. I don't think they were married, to be honest, because she was only 19 by this stage. So,
and we don't find any records of a Candus Simon, correct?
No Candus Simon.
Gotcha.
Dismissed. Pretty much all of these got dismissed, all right, because it was a matter of this one here. Okay, this is the only one that she pled guilty to. That's it. There is nothing else. She pled guilty to disorderly conduct in a domestic abuse situation. We're going to point these domestic abuse situations out because that's the records that we're going to go to next.
Correct. Now let's point out that hold on one second. The disposition on that abuse, go back, if you would. The disposition.
She pled guilty.
Yes, she pled guilty. The disposition date was May 25th, 2004. Okay. That was 17 years ago. She's only
It was a year after. It was a year after. The actual offense was in 2003.
Right. Of course, it's that lengthy process between jail and preliminary hearing and so on and so forth. But what is interesting to know is that this offense was not related to anything in the marital affairs of the Wells, right? So this is from someone else. Now, what I need everyone to make a note of is the fact that she did have a domestic abuse against a former partner. Now, after we go through her, you have to keep pinned in your mind that she had a disorderly conduct, domestic abuse against the next individual we'll talk. So keep that pinned.
Keep that pinned. So, and that's it. That's all she got. That is all she got charged for. That's her entire history. Everything else has been dismissed. She resisted an officer that night. It got dismissed. So, okay, and then this one. She pipe. So dismissed.
Paraphernalia.
She didn't even get busted with it. Wasn't hers. So dismissed. All right. So the only thing that she got done for was one case where she was defending herself in a domestic abuse situation. These cases here are the same cases, just repeated over and over, basically. So Candus has one record where she was defending herself.
Correct.
That's it. So neither Don nor Candus have really, this background that everybody is painting. This is what we're showing you what the public records tell us. Neither of them have any kind of background with abusing kids. We can talk about Candus. I'll share this screen next. Let me get it up on the screen. We can talk about Candus's first two kids. Everyone's going on about Candus's first two kids. So where's open with? Hang on. I'm missing a link. Open with Chrome.
I wish that's all I was missing.
A link.
Yeah, I wish that's it. You ask some people and they'll say that It's screws I'm missing.
All right. So Candus contacted her first daughter. So these are the two children she had to the previous guy, who we'll pull up next. And she tried to explain to her how things went and why the children were taken from her. And it turns out they weren't taken from her. She signed them over. There's absolutely no record that DCFS went in there and took those children away from her. There's no record that she abused them. There's no records, anything like that. And I'll come back to that because I've got some cases sitting on the side here with this next chap that show you that it wasn't Candus. She signed them over because she knew she was on drugs and not coping very well. And he wasn't going to provide anything. And I can prove all of that as well. And not only all of that, but that what she said to her daughter is actually bloody true. So I'll just read it out to you. She says, well, I was with someone that I thought loved me and wanted a family, but I was wrong and I have no excuse. But I was only 19 and he was 42. He was into drugs and I didn't know what they were at the time. So I tried it and didn't like it, and I told him I didn't, and he kept telling me if I didn't do them with him, he would take you and your brother away from me. But he was a very controlling person. If I didn't do something right or his way, he berated on me. I think she means beated on me. I tried to leave with you all, but we live a long way out of town, and so I tried to leave with you all, but we live a long way out of town and I could never get out. Then the courts got involved and I was given a choice, either let you guys go to a family or they were going to take you. So I signed you over so you all could have a better life and a chance to be better than I was.
Can you imagine being 19 years old and being forced?
You're echoing.
Being forced to do drugs with an older man that you thought, I mean, that's a testament to some of the marital customs in America, right? We had a young gal that was, now they weren't married, but it was an acceptable situation. She literally, or that gentleman was literally old enough to be her father. So, what we find is a whole psychology that plays into these sorts of scenarios. I just want to show you real quick. I'm just going to Google really quick the meaning of daddy issues. Okay. Now,
I wouldn't go there if I were you, because I'm going to pull his records up too, and he's actually seems to be a nice fella.
Does he?
He had a bit of a drinking issue.
Well, so
yeah,
I guess the point.
I can pull his records up.
The point that I'm trying.
It's important to do that because people are raving on about him as well.
Correct. The point that I'm trying to garner is that there could be contributing factors as to why girls of her age get involved in relationships of that nature. There's a lot of different psychology involved. So, yes, was he a good guy? He may have been, but he likes them young. So, moving on.
Okay, I'm not talking about Andrew. I'm talking about Candus's actual dad.
Correct.
He's actually not a bad guy. So, can you share my screen again? There's a little bit more there, but I have gotten a lot better now. Haven't in over 15 years. You do have a half sister and 3 half brothers. And even if you don't want anything to do with me, can we at least try to be friends? I really do think back of how stupid and dumb I was. And I'm sorry and that's all I got. I didn't get any more than that. So basically what we can tell here, looking through her records and the records of the next guy, that she was being truthful. She has no history in her criminal records that she was ever using for any period of time after she became an adult.
Correct.
All of the drug sort of relationships in there were all dismissed against her. So obviously that was all him. And when you see his records, you'll see that it does actually match up because he was going through court at the same time.
Correct.
And some things he pled guilty to, and I think that's why hers were dismissed, because he pled guilty to them. So so what we find there is that Candus actually told her daughter the truth. Whoever told her daughter differently was lying to her all her life. They've lied to her, told her that her mother didn't want her and that her mother had records all over Wisconsin and everywhere else. She had records in every state and everything. It's not true. She doesn't have all those records. It wasn't true. And Candus told her the truth. So now, what was Candus defending herself from? We move on to that one next.
And who? And yes, we will.
Oh shit! I just closed it. Damn it! Hang on, I got to get it back again. I just friggin' messed up.
What did you do that for?
Shit. I'm trying to close Windows because I got so many freaking Windows open. I'm like, dude, I've got so much stuff to show you.
Tell me about it.
Like so much stuff.
Tell me about it. Man, I need a good night's rest too. That's what I need. Man.
I think I need to find my gel pack because my bloody tablet's overheating on me.
Sue Ellen, yes. Many women can't cope financially. You see a real trend in domestic abuse with, the female party being very reliant on the male party for financial stability. Things involving the stability of the children, housing, transportation, sustenance, clothes. And when controlling man, what happens is they're definitely what you consider a Stockholm syndrome, right? The Stockholm syndrome is a syndrome that's associated with more readily associated with abduction, but it is that you throw in as well, and so it becomes a scenario that a man is the breadwinner. I said what you have now is the Stockholm syndrome. Correct. So we know that there is a trend of women that have historically. Let me pull that back up. They have a positive feeling towards an abuser or a captor, right? So you saw historically that women, they needed men for financial stability, or they thought they needed men for financial stability, raising the children, food, housing, transportation, not the whole lot. Right now, we've had this change in society now where certain economics, it's the women that are the breadwinners. And so the men are doing what they do, and then when they offend against their partners, they end up in jail, right? Well, who do you think immediately runs down the jail to get them out of jail? It's the girlfriend that he offended. Well, maybe not necessarily her, but somebody in their network is taking the money down there and getting him out. So It is a real issue when you have the toxicity of abuse going on. Now, Aussie has abuse to share.
Aussie has this
Benny,
to
you're
share.
saying
I guess I'm going to have to remove. There you go.
Everything 3 times. Everything you have said has
Hold on, let me
repeated
remove
3 times over.
this. I've got too many things going. There we go.
That we didn't hear
All right,
anything
Aussie.
that you said because there was 3 echoes. Can you hear me?
You got it.
Can anybody hear me?
We can hear you just fine.
I guess I'm going to have to remove. There you go.
Whoa. Hold on.
There's just so much echoing going on. It's going back and forth.
I'm reloading.
Like hundreds of times. Oh, thank fuck for that. Oh, sorry, guys, but that would do my head in.
We're back in the game.
Doing your head in.
There we go.
Okay. Oh, man, like you just went on for so long, and we were getting 3 and 4 echoes of your voice. So we actually were. It was too hard to hear what you were actually saying. And I was saying stop, and everyone was putting stop signs in the chat, and you just weren't getting it. It was pretty funny. Anyway, oh my god. Jesus, look at this guy, people. Look down the left-hand side. Andrew Orville Simon, criminal records, 49 criminal records. Are we going to go through all of them today? Fuck no. But we're going to go through some the ones that are related to the charges that were brought against Candus, and the majority of which were dropped, basically. So let me get that date on the screen. So, I mean, this guy is still up to no good. You know, he's 60. How old?
62.
He's 62 years old. He's 62 years old, and he's still up to no good. He's in court in February this year for drunken disorderly. So, I mean, and that's just a fine. Like that, it's a big fine. It's a $15,000 fine, but it's, you know, like it's not a criminal offense, it's not a felony or anything. But anyway, he's still up to no good. He's still doing this shit. And then he's got.
Now,
I don't even want to say that.
Hold on, right there.
Don't say it, Benny.
What?
Don't say it though. Don't say those words.
Got you.
Because you'll get your YouTube suspended or something. But don't say those words. People can read what those words actually say.
Well, I was gonna give you what the updated. Now, a lot of states have adopted away from this verbiage right here, and what they've moved to now is that a misdemeanor? Yeah.
No, that one's criminal.
Okay.
But check the date. The date's 2018, so this is nothing to do with Candus. This
Correct.
is the new girlfriend, obviously. But
no, see, I think
it goes back a long way.
This is just a misdemeanor.
This is only the most recent one.
Right?
This is only the most recent one.
Most states have taken this charge, and it's now enhanced to a felony, and it's called restriction of the airway. So it is no longer a misdemeanor to do this action right here. It is a felony now of 2021 in Texas. I don't know. Clearly there's no I don't see anything in regards to, let's see, F. I think it is a felony right there. You got 2018 felony case. There you go. So
this one was in Wisconsin. It was in Wisconsin, this one. And like this guy's all over the freaking place. Like we've got him in Texas and Wisconsin and California. We've got him all over the freaking joint.
Yeah, he likes to move around.
The guy he's transient. Yeah. So battery here. So new wife's getting battered as well. Disorderly conduct. Another strangulation. Oops, sorry, we weren't going to say that. Battery. Unregistered snowmobile. Like, I didn't even know that was an offense.
Hell yeah, it is. If you get caught drinking on a snowmobile, it is still a DWI. They do not play about drinking and operating those machineries.
Okay, now we are getting into the era where he had broken up with Candus. We know that happened in 2003. And this is 2004. So he's still going through court for the things that he did to her. And I'm going to pull those records up so that we've got more information on those records. But he had a charge dismissed but read in because he pleaded guilty to something else. So they read this in and they took the larger plea. So I'll come back to that in a second. So bookmark that. Bail jumping as well. Same date, 2004.
Misdemeanor.
Is this date we're looking at? The court date means bugger all. I think what that is actually saying is when it was entered into records, like electronic records, because back in 2004 they're only just making electronic records back then.
Making the jump from analog paper to digital computing.
Right. So issue of worthless checks. So these are all in the same charges. Bail jumping, that was in the same charge. Issue of checks, that was in charge. And theft of
now, I'll tell you
property.
Guys, these sorts of charges, you will find they are synonymous with methamphetamine use, methamphetamine addiction. You will see a lot of this sort of theft of property. These kind of rage fueled situations.
So now to pull up that record, I'm going to shut this window down and come back to it in a minute. So I'll just stop sharing that one. And we will go to these 2004 charges.
Now, remember, guys, the domestic abuse that's pinned, what we're looking for is a situation where Candus would have been sticking up for herself, right? So we're going to get to that time frame right there.
Okay. It's the oh shit, which one is it? I think it's that one. Hang on, don't share it yet. Just let me check I got the right screen. Yes, it is that one. All right, go to this one first. All right,
yeah,
so this
funny.
Is the case.
I just want to say really quick, it's funny, Q, she said CJ, Columbo, Dumbo, McDonut, and J is saying they had cocaine in their system, which is BS. Now, in regards to J is for J, I don't know what she's got going on. I've not heard anything bad about her, but I will say Columbo, McDumbo, McDonut, if he was actually tied in like everyone wants us to think he is, he may have already, like, why is he on the hind end of getting information, right? Like, if he jumps on the bandwagon and talks about this cocaine stuff now, to me, it's like, sir, like, you should have been talking about that in the front. You've been busy talking about all this other stuff. And now as soon as there's some talk about some cocaine, now you want to jump over back into this and start talking about some cocaine, sir. Man, pick a way you got to choose. Pick a way you got to choose, okay? You keep messing around, you will fuck around and lose, right? So go ahead, Aussie.
Okay, so these are all the cases that we just went through, all the bouncing checks and bail jumping stuff. But what happened was they dismissed all the charges, but they read them in to count towards the thing that he actually pleaded guilty to. So it was like a plea deal. Okay.
Correct. It was a multi-charge indictment, it looks like. So what he did was he pled to
absolutely
he pled to the larger offense in order to get some of the lesser offenses just dismissed. That is a very typical tactic, a prosecutorial tactic, in order to assure that you get some sort of conviction. Because if you can poke holes in the reasonable doubt of something that is contained on an indictment, well, then that's where something else, another crime in an indictment, you would hear about in this trial. If you can create reasonable doubt in a lesser charge, it does start to affect the credibility of the umbrella-ing larger charge. So bear that into mind. That is a prosecutorial tactic in order to assure, if you could bump off 4-year sentence to get them to plead to a 10-year sentence, then that's a win.
Well, I was wrong about the court, about the records, because this did go to court in 2014. It was, the offences were committed in 2003 and 4, but that's how long it took for all of this to go to court. So
now,
but have a look here, guys. This is interesting because, go on.
I was just going to preface it really quick. Now, for those that don't know anything about the Rosie Bly case, okay, Aussie, where was Rose's car? Where was Rosie's car found at?
Rosie's car was found at the parking lot next to the Grantsburg Laundry.
Grantsburg Laundry. Now that's in Wisconsin, right? That's she went missing in Wisconsin, clearly. But that Grantsburg.
That's in Grantsburg, Wisconsin.
Okay, now do we have did law enforcement have a particular interest or focus on anybody as a person of interest in Rosie's disappearance?
Nope. I mean, they just said that everyone was still, that nobody was ruled out, is what they're still saying that today.
Okay, so there is no, but we know statistically what the stats are, right? Is abductions tend to be familial in nature. But what is interesting is if you read there's a no contact with Candus Bly, who is his ex or his children's mother, and the Grantsburg Laundry where Candus's sister's car was found. Now, why does Andrew have any interest in a situation with Grantsburg Laundry, right? That's a new woodwork character unlocked. Grantsburg Laundry, new woodwork character unlocked. What is it about the
I would call
it's the owner.
Red flag,
right?
Absolutely.
Big red flag in Rosie's case pops up here. Now, we're not talking about he can't contact the Grantsburg Laundry. What he can't do is he cannot be on the premises or contact anyone that owns that establishment. So you start to look at why is Candus's ex have a no contact with Candus mentioned on the same. This is in the same additional text. These aren't suggestive that they're different situations, right? This is a situation that involves Candus and the people that own the Grantsburg Laundry, where Candus's sister's car was ultimately found dumped after her disappearance. You guys get it now, right? Like, you understand? I'm not saying get it like form an opinion. That's not what I'm saying, guys. We did the game last night. We know what we're looking at here, right? But when you start to look at, for those that were here last night, you see a guard, right? A security guard cleaning a swimming pool all of a sudden, right? So when you see stuff like that, like, why is Candus's ex have a no contact order with the people at the Grantsburg Laundry where Rosie's car was found? That is the question of the day. That's the real question. Okay? That's a real question for today. I would implore and empower everyone to try to figure out, dip into that a little bit, right? Because that is, it's not connected to this, but those, that situation, it deserves some positivity because unfortunately we have a spillover of the negativity from this case in that case because we have a pivot, right? Grandma Candus is this pivot between Summer's case and Rosie's case, right? So you have to keep Grandma Candus in your prayers because she is this pivot of pressure. She's being pulled and torn both ways, right? All ways. Okay. So it is important that we take into an account what Grandma Candus is going through, guys. There is a lot of nasty stuff out there, a lot of nasty things being said about Grandma Candus. But in the end, you have to remember that this woman has lost two daughters, a granddaughter and a daughter, right? So everyone, let's remove our head from our orifices and come on now.
Okay, can you put the next screen up? So this is what he pled guilty to. All the charges were all sort of bunged into this, and this is what he pled guilty to. And you'll see the dates are pretty much the same. He pled guilty to battery. He pled guilty to that so he could get all the other shit thrown out. You can see the dates are all the same here. All the dates are pretty much the same. All the information is pretty much the same, and you can see the pill connected by exactly the same clause.
I ask you why. Why does this gentleman have an issue with that person, right? Now, what would be interesting now, and I think that it's something that we'll talk about doing is looking at Andrew's connection to Rosie's husband, right? Now, you know these guys are both seeing two girls that are sisters, so in some respects, they had a great knowledge of each other's situation, if you will. So I think that's where you start to push. You start to push through all of this, and you get to the end, and you're like, okay, so what's the connection, or is there a connection between Simon and Rosie's husband, right?
Right. Well, there's a. I'll come back to the Rosie thing in a second because I wanted to. I was putting the highlight here on what Candus was putting up with. Okay, look at the date here. So she was with Don. She was pregnant the day Rosie went missing. Candus was in Arkansas with Don. She was pregnant with, I think, the first of the boys, of Don's boys. She was very heavily pregnant. So
that would have been
and she was living
around
in Arkansas.
13-ish years ago.
Right. And in 2014, this guy's still going through court for stuff that happened back then. Okay, so it's all fresh to him. Every time he turns around, there's a court case. It's all fresh to him.
It makes it
like it happened yesterday.
It makes one think that potentially he's been on a long series of probations. There has to have been some community supervision that was coming from some of this stuff. I mean, this isn't just go to jail, pay a fine, and get out, and you're all good. There are repercussions to this number of batteries, and you start to get enhancements when you continue to be an habitual offender in one particular direction or another. There are community supervisions. For those that aren't aware of what those are, that's anger management. That's some sort of inpatient or outpatient treatment of some sort, jail, actually incarceration. So there are a number of punitive and criminal things that come from this sort of behavior. And when I say punitive, the last battery that Aussie was showing, he had a restitution in court fines of $40,000. So when you have court fines also, guys, that are racking up in the thousands like that, what happens when you're not paying those is the court will file what's called a show cause. And a show cause is where you have to come in before the court and you have to show cause why you're not paying on these fines. Now, there are also, there's infractions that will be accrued from not paying on these restitutions at time. So, or committing finishing the programming they put you in, so on and so forth. So, this guy to me looks like he probably had some probation and stuff that came from some of these assaults and batteries. And he's been on probation for quite an extensive period of time. And he's been revoked potentially and now going through the cases in their entirety at this point.
Right. And so every time he ends up back in court, he's got a fresh bitter taste in his mouth because this is all to do with Candus. And you can see it's written there. He's got to have no contact with Candus. And this is in place, I think, still today. I haven't seen anything to say that it's not. Just to wrap up that, like, we can see how bad this guy is, okay? He has multiple batteries, multiple strangulations, this is moving on from just the situation with Candus. So I'm going to share another screen now. Back to that screen there, just to show you guys. I don't really want to read through 49 offences, but I'm just going to scroll back through this to show you the history of this guy. It just goes on and on and on. Unlawful phone use. I threatened with obscenity.
Now,
so he's threatening someone over the phone.
Guys, this charge right here, the date of offense was 03. Okay, so yeah, that's just your basic threat. But nowadays, guys, for any of you that don't know,
that's Candus.
It is a
again.
felony.
That's Candus.
Yes, exactly. That's probably has to do with Candus, right? I mean, for sure. Because that's the same time frame. But nowadays, guys, you can be charged with a felony if you send inappropriate pictures of yourself or anyone else to someone else that doesn't want them, right? If you send something inappropriate to someone and they have a digital connection back to you, they can go directly to their local police station and file a charge against you. And I do believe that charge will require you to report as a sex offender, to file as a sex offender, guys. So sexting isn't what it is no more, guys. But yes, please continue on.
That's all right. So there's 2 counts of that there.
Hold the phone.
And then there's...
Hold the phone.
Hold the phone.
Okay,
what?
Rosie, she went missing when?
2009.
He had those clauses. Now, those clauses that you just showed on the previous screen for him not to contact Candus or to contact Grantsburg, were those before he went missing or after?
Yes. They were before Rosie went missing.
That's a problem now, guys. You see how we just dug that out, right? So we have an issue with Andrew, who is Candus's ex, who is he's a strangler. He likes to hit women. I mean, he has a very, very vivid past of doing this. And now he has an issue with a premises that later, 6 years down the road, he's already got a problem.
5 years.
5 years. So he already has, hold on, guys. Wait a minute. He already has a problem with Grantsburg Laundry and the people that maintain that, right? And that own it. He also is in a clause for Candus, no contact with Candus, 5 years before Rosie's car, or before Rosie goes missing, and her car pops up at the Grantsburg Laundry. That's a problem.
And this is also This is also what was going on when she signed the papers to adopt her kids out.
Oh, man. Man.
Okay, so still a lot of disorderly conduct. He's harassing people. He's drink driving. He's driving without a license. What's that one mean? Operating with pack 08 or more.
That's blood alcohol.
There you go. Drink driving, no license, drink driving.
Now, guys, listen.
It's a fucking mess, man.
Listen, jail time is what comes with every single one of these offenses, guys. Jail time comes with it, okay? So we are seeing a very colorful, vivid history of her ex and the sorts of physicalities. Look at, there's court fines of 12,000. Go to the next one. Battery.
Same date. 2 counts of battery.
Look at
possession of
800 court fines. So look at, okay, yeah. Possession of methamphetamine, psilocybin, LSD. That's a bad one. Okay.
So when we were talking before about Don would have some sort of record to show that he's been doing this stuff.
Wow.
This is what we're talking about.
You'll see a footprint.
Don doesn't have this record.
You'll see a footprint. You'll see a history of a cocaine involvement. You have not seen a history of a cocaine involvement, period, at all. Please continue.
This is a meth. This one's a meth involvement, but even Candus doesn't have any of these records, right? Criminal damage to property, more disorderly conduct, more possession of methamphetamine, more battery.
Holy shit.
Resisting arrest, assault causing bodily injury to a family member. That's different to domestic violence. That is.
Wait a minute.
That is.
When did Rosie go?
2 years after Rosie.
2013?
2009.
2009. Okay, sorry.
This is 2 years after Rosie.
Look at the one below it. Holy shit. These are in Texas. That's an ag assault. For an ag assault,
right?
Ag assault, he did penitentiary time for that. I assure you. If it was in Texas, what is the file date? That's the same year.
2011.
He's done some time in Texas. I assure you of that. Now,
so not only was it a family member, but it was aggravated, causing serious bodily injury.
Aggravated means anytime you use a firearm or edged weapon or anything you can swing, hit, or knock down somebody with, that makes it aggravated.
Any kind of weapon.
Right now, when you see it changes. Why aggravated is an issue for him is because assault causes bodily injury. That's probably a 5 to 10 year 5 to 10 year type penalty, right? The ag assault in Texas, it automatically changes sentencing guidelines, and it goes all the way from 1 day to 99 years. That is the sentencing guideline now. So he's done some time. He's done some time for those assaults in Texas. I heard you.
Just a Belfast girl. No, he's not in jail right now. He's currently, if we go all the way back up here, let me take you right back to the start. He's just been to court for disorderly conduct, which is not a criminal offense. It's just a fine.
Right. Maybe he could have been drunk or got into a verbal dispute with someone. You know, it's just a dispute.
So that was in February.
Yeah, the disorderly conduct is typically a dispute that did not turn violent.
Right, so he's not in jail.
Correct.
Is the answer. He's not in jail.
It
sounds like he bloody well should be in jail.
Yeah.
I don't know how the fuck the guy's walking the streets, but he is.
But see, look at his court fines on that one, right? So now what you have there is that's proof of or that's fact. Disposition not provided by source. Open. That's an open case. That's an open case. Can you go down one more? Open means pending, not finalized. That one's closed. Okay, go down one more. Open case. Okay, go down again. Closed.
I think that one's closed as well because he's pleaded no contest and it was for 2019.
Disposition. Okay.
I can pull all of these up. It's just that there was too many of them. I can pull them all up in the Wisconsin archives. It's just because there was 49 of them. I was like, well, I just want to focus on the ones that are actually, to do with this case.
So what's very important to note, guys?
What we're pointing out here. Who do you guys think? This is a question for your audience. Type who you think is the most likely to have beaten that kid with a baseball bat. Candus or this guy or the father? I think it's disgusting that she had to plead guilty to domestic violence when, that guy deserved whatever she did. I hope she got him with a baseball bat, man.
Now, check it out here, guys. The way that child abuse charges are, the way that they are constructed, and I want to show this.
Yeah, dude, I've got that next. That's on my screen next.
Oh, okay.
I'm about to show the. Shall we switch to that now? Because I've got the Wisconsin.
The statute for that. Because what's going to be important to see about the Wisconsin statute is, in regards to her first children, if you can imagine being involved in a scenario with a drug-fueled husband that is 23 years older than you, and he's, doing things to you physically all the time. If he's doing these things to her physically all the time, it absolutely stands to reason that he's doing these things to her in front of the children, potentially to the children. So what happens when child abuse charges are and could be filed, what you'll have is you'll have a scenario where someone may be charged with a child abuse, but then given the opportunity to sign the child into the system in order to remove it from a bad situation. And then those charges could be dismissed with that action. Now, that I'm not saying that happens every time. What I'm saying is that's a mode of transportation in the way that these things move sometimes. There is, judges have a full spectrum of power in how they handle and manage these things. So here is the Wisconsin statute for child abuse, neglect, and or abandonment.
Right. So just going to scroll down the page a bit here. We see physical abuse of a child. See physical abuse of a child.
Felonies.
That's what you'll be charged with. 948.03 under the Wisconsin statutes is what you would be charged with. Now, Candus has none of those against her name at all.
Not one.
None of those at all. And if people want me to, I can pull up the Wisconsin case search and show them that she doesn't. But trust me, she doesn't.
No, I think that this is very adequate enough proof of there's no history of child abuse on their records. Now, that doesn't mean, guys.
I think she does have one of these, maybe. something.
Well,
I
I mean,
think she might
it
have
doesn't.
a code DCF where she relinquishes the custody of the children, because the daughter, remember, the daughter is only 6 months old at this stage when she signed
Right.
over her kids. So I think she has an administrative DCF 39 for relinquishing the custody. I don't have access to those records, incidentally. Nobody does. Their
I mean,
family
but you could,
court
you know,
record.
just without having access to those records, you could say that that was a temporary deal, right?
No, she signed them over permanently. It
Okay.
was a permanent deal.
All right.
I can tell you who the kid's mum and stuff is, but I'm not going to dox the kid. You know, she's only just
No.
turned 18 this year, and people are blasting her name out all over the place and showing her face and her Facebook profile and all this shit. And, you know, she's barely, I don't even know if she is 18 yet. You know, like she turned 18. She either turned 18 this year or she's not even 18 yet, depending on when her birthday is. So, you know, I can probably find the records for the birth dates, but I don't want to do that. I just don't want to dox
No.
her,
It
because
makes
she's
it
still
too
a
easy for people
and everyone,
to reverse engineer the information we put out and find them and do things they ought not to.
people are
With that information.
already going onto her Facebook and asking her about Candus. That's why Candus wrote what she did to her. But I just didn't want to show what the daughter wrote, because I don't want to be showing her details. So but the daughter did write, someone hit her up, what's the go with Candus, is she your sister? And she said, no, she's my biological mother, and she's got records in Wisconsin and Arkansas, and, you know, she just rattled off 3 or 4 places where mum's got records, and she doesn't have those records. We just proved that.
Right. There's no history
So,
of child abuse. Yeah.
right. And that she was abused, right? And that her mum was on drugs and all this stuff. So this is what she was telling this other person, and then Candus decided to contact her and tell her, no, that's not true. I was just with a bad dude and shit got out of control and I had to sign you over.
Right.
So, but
yeah,
anyway.
we've seen that. So, guys, I hope that this has brought just even the slightest bit of clarity. Hold on. Why are you bothering going through this? Ask Krusty Gusset. Flicking bollocks. Nice. You caught me off guard with that one, because I saw the tail end of your comment and I was like, oh, this person's just, and then I read it and I'm like, you really, that's like a kid jumping on you when you're in, you know, mid breath and you're like, good one. Oh boy. Guys, I have an, oh shit. Hold on. I got to look at you guys. Okay, guys. I'm thinking about starting, and this is in all seriousness, I'm thinking about starting a once a week segment. And I'm thinking about calling, has anyone ever seen that has anyone ever seen I'm sorry, guys, I'm feeling silly right now, but I want your honest opinion. Okay. If I were to create a segment that was once a week, and so everyone's heard of this, right? Surviving R. Kelly. Now, I am in no way trying to create a parallel or align my next statement or comment with
I'm not allowed to
anything.
talk about that on YouTube. Sorry.
Yeah,
I just thought I'd tell you.
I'm not in no wait. I'm in no way, you know, making that, you know, that jump. What I'm saying is that I want to create a new segment, and this new segment is going to be called Surviving Chris M. Okay. What I want to do is I want to start reaching out to the people that have been victimized by Chris M. And I want to bring them forth, and I want to give them a voice to talk about how law enforcement has, law enforcement backed and inspired individual really have just done the business with no grease, right? So if you guys think that a Surviving Chris M segment once a week would be informative, put one in the chat. Put a 1 in the chat if you'd like to see that.
I think it's a fucking brilliant idea, except you're doing a lot of fucking yelling and scaring people off, man.
I know. And that's the thing. I am moving into another phase. Everyone knows that I am like a butterfly when it comes to these things.
A beautiful butterfly.
I operate from within a chrysalis, and then once I'm ready to emerge, there's that battle to initially get out of the chrysalis, right? So they say that if you help the butterfly, if you assist a struggling butterfly from its chrysalis, much like a baby chicken, if you were to assist a baby chicken out of the egg before it's fought and built the strength to make it through, it dies. And so that screaming is always something that I do every case. And I do it as I'm struggling to become a beautiful butterfly. And so now I'm a beautiful butterfly, and we're going to just switch gears now, right? We were in kind of four-wheel high.
I don't want anybody to think I was dissing Benny for the yelling. I'm not dissing him.
No.
I'm just saying, like, when other people are going to come along and talk to him, they're going to see some of those other videos and go, whoa, is he going to talk to me like that? So
that's it. And you know what?
About,
I want to preface it. Miss Wednesday and the green team. What I want to preface it by saying is that, I have garnered a lot of attention from Child Protective Services because of how passionate I get online, right? So I don't want to say that when I'm passionate in that way that it's not real, but what I want to say is that you don't call CPS on Jim Carrey when he was the Mask, or you don't call the CPS and police on John Candy or not John Candy, whoever, when they play the voice of a character that acts wild, right? So it is, it's okay to have passion. And guess what? It's okay, guys, to have passion that other people don't understand and can't compute, right? It's okay, right? The way that I choose to deal with what's going on is I don't choose to run around and lie behind folks. I don't choose to run around and try to necessarily defame anyone. What I'm doing is I'm fighting against the people that are fighting against justice. You want to know why I am such a proponent for justice? And let me tell you why. As a youngster, my very first criminal case was an armed robbery and a felony firearm, right? It was not a situation that I was even present for, right? So some individuals that were actually involved in the case, they called what's up in that neck of the woods, it's called silent observer, right? So it's the snitch line. So somebody called and put me in the armed robbery. So for 2 years, I fought this thing with a leg monitor on because I was from out of state. Like, after everything happened, I was like, oh no, because I wasn't going to play ball with the people who did it, I ran to Texas. I was like, man, fuck this. I'm out, right? And there was a lot of other illegalities involved with all of that, right? So the detectives call me down on a private line in Dallas, and they're like, hey, down here, and they're like, hey, you need to make your way up there before we send a fugitive team to come and get you. And I'm like, oh, shit. So I made my way up there, and they ended up charging me, and the sentence that they were seeking was life. And I was sitting there, and I was sitting on this concrete slab. I was 19, my first time in jail. And I'm sitting around, I'm in the jail with the killers, right? And I'm like, it's my first time. And I'm like, oh, God. And it took like 30 days for me to get a bond because I was from out of state. They thought that I was, a flight risk and all these other things. So they gave me a $10,000 bond after 30 days with no 10% option. So I had to have 10K in full to get out, right? Wasn't a surety bond. It was you got the money or you don't. You can just sit in here till you go to trial. So 10K to get out, and then it was another 20K for the lawyer, right? I took 2 polygraphs, passed both polygraphs, right? Now, what I'll tell you is I took an independent polygraph and I took a state interpreted, administered polygraph, and I passed both of them. So while I'm sitting in jail, I'm like, how can it? I had no understanding, right? I was out there doing all the crimes except this one and had no understanding of what it meant when you got tied up, when you got in the jam, when you got in a real pinch, what came next with that, right? So here I am, this young age, and I go through, I essentially had like a 9-month preliminary exam, right? Like my first preliminary exam, once it started, like it never stopped. And it wasn't until, and this is highly uncommon, I took a private polygraph, right, from our side, a defense administered polygraph, and that's the one that they accepted to throw the case out, right? That second polygraph, it excluded me as a suspect when the state interpreted design couldn't do that much for me, right? So what I'm saying is that my fight, now I subsequently went on for the next 20 years tearing shit up, right? So, and I did my time for everything that I did, right? But that first one, I'm thankful that first one played out like it did, right? Because I got a real sense of justice, right? I knew I was equipped early on to know that certain things in my life, I knew what was going to come with that when I got in trouble, right? So I had a certain sophistication built in already. If you use it for the bad, I tried to use it for the good, but I just, it was a fight that I lost and lost and lost until about the age of 37. So for, 4 going on 5 years now, I've been able to kind of hold it all together, right? And so when you get on this side of it and you start looking back and you have the knowledge that I have through 20 years of going through the criminal justice system, you really, like, I'm retired crook, and I really have a strong appreciation for this side of the fence. Like, I really do. And knowing what I know, it keeps me from reoffending. It keeps me from the situations, even putting myself in situations where I may be forced to reoffend. So that's, that's pretty much like that. That's my testimony. Now, have I ever been fucked over by the criminal justice system? Absolutely. But it did me right once too, right? It did me right a few times. So, guys, it's justice is slow, but we gotta still believe that it runs true, right? It's straight. It doesn't bend. It doesn't divert. And that's one thing that we can depend on as a society. We can depend, with all of the changing things and mandates and all of that, we know that the law is the one thing that we can always lean on. We always know that as long as we're XYZ, that if someone comes into our life and offends against us, we can call 911 and we can get action, right? So, guys, that's my testimony. That's just a small portion, but that's what I feel.
Just to add to that, Just to add to that whole thing, Benny, is that people like young Michael Crow, people who have been severely abused by people like Columbo Gumbo, they're most likely suffering some sort of PTSD, I would say. I think I actually did read that somewhere, that young Michael, or maybe one of his friends that got tied up in that, was actually suffering from PTSD.
Well, you know what?
And so, yeah, getting passionate's great, but you need to, you never yell when I'm online with you. Never yelled when you're a guest on anyone else's channel. You've never yelled when you're a guest on, when you have guests on. So we know you can do it. It's
It's just, I legitimately, I legitimately love all children. Like, I want the very best for every child. And I would, I'm one of those ones that, I wished I could save them all, but I'm armed with the knowledge to know that I can't save hardly any of them, but the ones I can save, I make sure that I do a real good job at it. Right. And so, I want to take a moment, and I want everyone in the chat to think about, so a mandated reporter usually means that you've taken an oath from a state or an organization to be a mandated reporter. Now, you can mandate yourself, right? I know that there is a lot of people in the world, and maybe, unfortunately, there will be some people in here, or that'll watch the movie, the video, that have or know someone that abuses their children. And if you are aware of anyone that is abusing a child, neglecting a child, exploiting a child, please call your local law enforcement and mandate yourself, right? Mandate yourself that if you see something, you're going to talk about it. You're going to make sure that it gets to the right people, because look at all the stats we have, guys. All the stats we have in America for child abuse. And we know that child abuse and neglect and abandonment and abandonment happens when the parent's still in the home too, guys. Let's be clear about that. You don't have to leave your kids somewhere where they don't know where they are to be abandoning them. They could be in the other room and you could be abandoning them, right? But because of what we know about statistics, we know people in our neighborhood, people by us, people that we break bread with or whatever, they potentially are secretly abusing their children. Maybe not even secretly, right? We all know someone that we've passed in our life, probably many people who in our lifetimes have said, yeah, my old man did this. My old man, right? My old man had hands like a cinder block, right? So, and that's just that. So we all know someone that's been through it, and because of stats, we probably know someone that's going through it now. So keep your eyes out, guys. Do not let a child on your watch be victimized. Facts. Do you have anything to add before we close up?
Yeah, I'd like to address the rumor going on in the chat at the moment, and that is that Don has some other identity. And I can tell you that the records I just showed you all goes back to when he was 18. So if he changed his identity, he must have been slick, because I don't know that kids under 18 can change their identities.
Listen,
but those records I just put up go right back to when he was 18.
Right. Nowadays, guys, that just shows the people's inability or inexperience with what it takes to be booked into a jail. Right now, I'll tell you this: Dallas County. My last name is Lindsay with an EY. Right, Dallas County. 15 years ago, I was arrested for something, and they put AY instead of EY. So what that did was it gave me what's called an alias, right? It was an inadvertent alias because they had copies of all my driver's license and all that, but EY, I guess, isn't the common spelling to that person. So they looked at the ID, they said, Lindsay, wrote it down. And so you can have an alias for only so long with today's technology, right? You're able to navigate and have, so you'll be booked in and they'll create an alias through a misspelling or through a wrong date of birth or whatever. And so then you have these two profiles in the criminal justice account or database rather. And as soon or if you get arrested again, now you've got 3, right? They figure out with the technology that there's an alias, right? So nowadays, for someone to have
Benny Zavgirl found that Andrew guy. Zavgirl found a whole bunch of records where the cops had done a typo.
Yeah, there you go.
His middle name.
That's how you get an alias, right there. Nowadays, it is almost impossible. Like if somebody says, "Oh yeah," I tell, like once you get down there, you can tell them whatever the hell you want on the side of the road. Once you get down there and they know just who the hell you are. Now, the alias comes in when the police make the mistake nowadays. Oh, yeah, you used to be able to tell them you were your cousin and this and that. And when they didn't have the ability to pull your picture up, yeah, if you knew all your cousin's shit and you were relatively the same height or whoever, you could make it. Now, as soon as they get down there and they know just who you are. So the only aliases that come from today's times are aliases that are actually typos, facts, point, period.
Yeah, I don't think you can get away with just using an alias anymore.
And it doesn't work that way.
Maybe back in the 70s.
But people actually, see, that's the thing. People actually believe that it does work that way. I mean, and that's the bigger issue, right? It's like, how do you educate all the people that just came from somebody's channel that think that some part of a database works this way? I mean, if you can trick me into making me think that something works a particular way and I haven't went and looked at it, it isn't good for you. It's shame on me because I shouldn't adopt anything that you say without first having checked it out myself, right?
Right. So there you go. We've killed a lot of rumors tonight. Well, rumors are going to fly around anyway, but we at least got, you've got receipts now.
I mean,
you got actual receipts, what it all means. Fish are
gonna swim, birds are gonna fly, and commenters are just gonna fucking talk shit. There's nothing you can do about it. But what you can do
and guppies are gonna gup.
Man, guppies are gonna gup. So once you get an ideology about the way of thinking, right? So much of your first year of college has to do with taking classes that, teach you how to research and yada, 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 how to organize. There's certain things that they try to equip you with early on so that when you move forward, you're the sharpest, most precise instrument you can be. And that's all we're trying to do. We're trying to show you that when you hear something strange or you read something strange, the first thing you should do is not send it to somebody else to get clarification. Go get your own knowledge. Equip yourself. Educate yourself. So the next time somebody sends you some bullshit that you can't interpret, whether it's fact or opinion, well, you know where to go get the answer, don't you? And that's a fact. So that's all I have.
That's what we're doing. That's exactly what we're doing. We're just looking with our eyes open, hear a rumor, find the truth. That's it. It's simple.
That's it. So, guys, in the meantime, in between time, the absence of evidence is not the evidence of absence. Aussie, do you have anything to add before I push this button?
No. Thanks for having me, guys, and we will resume our educationing game tomorrow night.
Be there or be square. I'm going to create a live stream for probably tomorrow night around 9-ish or so, as long as I get the okay from Aussie. And so it will be sitting waiting, and that is a commitment.
Go hard or go home.
All right, guys. Well, we're going to tune out for now. Appreciate everybody. Love you guys. Bye-bye.